Welcome to Parenting Tips with Dr. Glow on the WDKX podcast network, where the conversation never ends. I am reminding you, as my listeners, that education is in my DNA. I yearly share some information with parents about when their child is going to college. So, in this session, I'd like to talk about my annual reminders to moms, dads, grandmas, dads, aunties, uncles, those who are supporting our children when they go to college. This year, I've added a couple of things in light of what has been happening recently in our society. But first of all, number one, you need to have your child sign off stating that they give you permission and they give the college permission to gain information about you, your grades, your attendance, financial aid, and whatever else. So, okay, many of you are saying, what do you mean? I'm paying for this education. What do you mean? This child is still the minor, or whatever the case may be. Guess what? There's something called HIPAA, or I should say FERPA in this case, that basically means that information will not be shared unless your son, your daughter has signed off and indicated that they give the school permission to talk with you about them. I know you don't understand it. Trust me, it is something that is upheld in the courts, and period. That's it. In line with that is you want his or her access information in terms of their online account. Nothing is sent by mail anymore. Everything is electronically sent. So you need access to their account. You need those passcodes. You need all of that stuff in order to see what's happening with their grades, their attendance, any money balances, all that stuff. So please take a note. When your child is there, want to remind him or her and tell him he needs to get to know his or her professors, their professors, because it is in that relationship and that connectedness that they will be able to grow and to develop into the college experience. So, going to that professor's office hours, being able to have a conversation, whether by email or in person, because the actual classroom is really not the place to try to develop some type of connection. That once a week or once every 2 weeks opportunity is so valuable. Have your child become familiar with the administrative aide or administrative assistant to the department chair or to the dean of the program that your child is in. What do I mean by that? He or she is the gateway, is the person that's going to get you in the office. That person will know who you are and if you're just there for something petty or if you're a child or you are there for something that's very important. So get to know that administrative assistant. I used to be one, used to be called a secretary, and trust me, I was a barracuda. I made sure my boss did not get bothered by craziness. And if a person didn't come correct, I was not letting them get it through that office door. So be friendly, smile, and always be respectful. Tell your child to take advantage of tutoring. If there's a challenge with a course, tutoring is always available in every department and every program at every college. There's usually a tutoring center, and there are specialized tutors for subjects that your child may be struggling in. And most of the time, it's math or writing. Be sure your child studies their syllabus. That's the contract between them and their professor for that course. And they also need to take a look at the schedule. What are the things that are pending in terms of assignments, grades, or special activity, and even possibly bonus points? So that syllabus is a contract, and they need to be familiar with it. Next, this is something that I'm adding, and that is the value of checking in with your child. You can schedule specific days or times, days and times where you will get together with your child, whether by Zoom, Google Meet, FaceTime, whatever it may take, so that you can have conversations as to checking in. Their mental health is so important. I can't tell you how many times students have committed suicide because they failed an exam and think they're an embarrassment to their family. There are different cultures where the expectation is that you're getting 100% on everything, and sometimes that doesn't work. So, the relationships they have with others, whether it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend, that's valuable. Next, if your child is traveling and has a vehicle and they are a few miles or a few hours away from you, you want to be able to purchase a dash camera for their car. If for any reason there's something that involves the police or any other individuals, you want him or her to turn that camera on and have it going. And whether it streams live or whether it saves the information, it is an investment I would encourage you to consider. And practice with that camera before your child leaves to get to the college. I think all parents have the locator or find me feature on their child's phone, especially those who are underage. Be sure that is on at all times, and you want to encourage your child not to turn it off. They may want to go places that they don't want you to know about, and we know what that means. But it is serious now, and especially in light of what has happened to the 18-year-old Nolan in Mississippi. There are so many evil opportunities for people to do wrong, and we want to reduce the likelihood that our child does not return home safely. You have the ability to do things now because of technology and the advances we have from 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yes, your child is going to go to parties and definitely be enticed with doing drugs or underage drinking. Have the conversation. Let them know that you are concerned and hear them as opposed to lecture them. Hear what they have to say because their values are their values and it will carry them through the 4 years. You may have your values, you may have your thoughts, but you want to hear them and listen to them and help them to understand that there are consequences to every action they have. They're going to have relationships with friends, associates, classmates, and you want those relationships to be strong and positive. And especially if they're in sports, they have to understand the impact of drinking and drugs, and especially if they're on a scholarship, the impact of any type of illegal activity. Finally, money. Yeah, money. Budgets are important, and if they're not on one, you will find that you will have a challenge. And so, what do I say? I say you have to stick to a budget. They have to stick to a budget. You don't have a money tree. Well, if you do, I'd like to know about it. Anyway, you don't have a money tree in the backyard. And so having strict guidelines, yeah, there could be the late night, I want a pizza. There could be all kinds of opportunities to go and pick up something from one of the fast food restaurants, but the advantage of sticking to a budget will help them to stay the course and focus on those studies. Why am I sharing this? Well, with over 40 years of being in higher ed at a variety of colleges, I've seen everything. Whether I was the classroom teacher, whether I was the dean, whether I was the assistant provost, I've seen it all. And I can tell you, if you do things now, it will make a difference later. You have been listening to Parenting Tips with Dr. Glow on the WDKX Podcast Network, where the conversation never ends. My question for you today is, have you considered the value of having a talk with your child about the 10 points I've shared today?